Welcome to Subramani. Last few years, one word which has become synonymous with investing is ESG investing, and in the US it's supposed to be 30% of the more than one third of their total investments are through or ESG funds, right? So obviously E and S, which is environment, social and governance issues, are important, and I do think that if one wants to be socially responsible, one has to think of a lot more things than just some technical parameters called E, S and G, which means if you are a fossil fuel, you're not you're not environment friendly. But what has happened is we have killed the nuclear power by saying, oh, it's very scary, because of the typical human tendency to look at some pictures and say, oh God, this is going to be a disaster. Whenever it happens, a lot of people are going to die, like Chernobyl, or then you also go back to Nagasaki, Hiroshima and all that, and saying these things will happen. So what has happened? Russia is able to manipulate fuel prices all over the world, at least definitely in Europe and parts of US. So I do think that when we talk of ESG investing, I would want to go a little further and say, let us look at socially responsible investing rather than just ESG investing. I also think that people will throw data saying, look, ESG investing has done very well. I do think what has happened is a lot of money, especially from millennials and younger people, has flown into ESG funds. So ESG funds have gone and bought ESG shares. How do you buy ESG shares? You go and look at BlackRock and say what they have bought, so you go and buy. So I think this large amount of money chasing a few shares has resulted in ESG shares doing well. So I do think there is some evidence perhaps that ESG bubble is being built. Everybody is chasing the same few companies. For example, in India, if you're talking about governance, everybody thinks that Tata Group is the best in governance. I'm not even I don't have a view on that, but I'm just saying. So therefore, if everybody chases a TCS, obviously the price will go up. TCS, you're chasing TCS because the price is going up. The price is going up, therefore the index weightage is going up, and therefore more people are buying. The index funds are buying. The ESG funds are buying. Then everybody is saying, oh, US is going to do well, so therefore people are buying. So if everybody buys TCS, it's fairly obvious that the TCS PE will keep going up compared to some of its other peers, and that's it. So therefore your ESG fund returns will look good. It's funny to say, I don't know whether ESG is going up because ESG is good, or is ESG going up because more money is chasing a lesser number of shares, because you've restricted yourself. You'll say, I'll not buy NTPC, I'll not buy Coal India, I will not buy whatever, Reliance maybe because it has got fossil fuel. But you can always argue that the fossil fuel portion of Reliance is going down. It's becoming more, it is easy to buy Reliance today with ESG because it's not so longer an E issue. So let us buy because there is S and G in place anyways, right? So I would rather look at companies looking at saying what changes are they making to become better, right? So for example, Philip Morris or somebody like ITC, if ITC were to set up, let's say, corporate hospitals like Apollo, is it a way of saying, okay, some of the damage that they have done by causing cancer, they are able to repair? So would I then look at ITC and say it's not so bad in ESG because the efforts towards becoming more friendly towards the people, environmentally conscious, socially conscious, they are trying to do something. So we know that this is the position, that tobacco is bad and therefore it does not fit into ESG. But then you look at governance and say it's good, it is able to attract talent, it has got nice, and now it is reducing the dependence on tobacco because they've got FMCG, they've got hospitals, they're converting some of their hotels into hospitals, whatever. I'm just giving an example. I don't think anything like that is going to happen. But I'm saying, are we giving enough importance? Are we giving enough enough importance to companies which are so-called good but actually behaving very badly. Take Pfizer for example. Internationally, the way Pfizer has manipulated governments, and now Pfizer and J&J, the feedback that is coming on their vaccines is not too great. So will Pfizer and J&J fit your ESG bill? Is it okay to buy Coke and Pepsi and McD's, which are sorry about this again, which are actually causing a lot of ill health? Will you buy big pharma? Will you buy big food? Will you buy big finance companies? Will you buy big tech, which is trying to manipulate you? Where will you draw the line in E, S, and G? Let us look at just at G. Here is a company called Twitter, which is trying to manipulate world views, which is saying, okay, we will not have Donald Trump because we don't support that philosophy, right? But still, Twitter is an American company. So Julian Assange will still not find favor. He is a persona non grata in US. So will he be allowed to keep his Twitter handle? How long will he be allowed to keep his Twitter handle? Right now, we don't have answers to many of those questions. So right now, many companies say, okay, if you're making guns, alcohol, and conventional military weapons, you're not part of our ESG. But what happens, the world needs weapons, so is what America doing by equipping Ukraine, are they being good, correct? Is it conforming to ESG? Very, very difficult to talk about all this, and I don't think people use too many criteria and they would just say, oh, the company takes care of the ESG. Then the company should take care of ESG throughout, right? So if you have an ESG fund, are you yourself very ESG compliant? As a fund house, are you ESG compliant, right? So that's a big question which will again come up. So I think time to go beyond ESG, time to look at companies saying, are they being good to the economy? Are they being good? Are they treating people well? Are they treating their customer well? Are they treating their shareholder well? Are they repaying all their loans? All this should matter. It can't be just that, oh, company is ESG compliant because BlackRock created a criteria according to which they are buying, and I'm too small, to me it doesn't matter. I go and look at BlackRock's portfolio and I do a cut paste of that, right? Is that the way you want to do ESG? Then I don't think ESG is a great concept. But if you say no, I will look at a company whether it's good for the economy, whether it is treating the employees well, whether it is paying a fair share of taxes. All these things are important. Therefore, I will not buy a company which is I will not buy a company like Amazon, which is using so much of paper, where I buy a book which is made of paper and comes wrapped in 1 kilo of paper and cello tape, right? So things like that. So they are not being environmentally very good. So let me not buy through Amazon, or let me not buy through somebody else, right? So all those things, what all should I consider and say ethical investing, or things like that? So that's very difficult, and finding such difficult companies is very hard. You have to go sit and do a lot of research and buy. When you buy those companies, I'm presuming that they would be listed. If they are not listed, you have to help them list, right? So there is a lot of work in creating good companies which are environmentally good, pay a decent salary to its employees, treat its customers well, treat its shareholders well, treat the government well in terms of taxes that they pay. Finding such companies is not going to be easy, because you never know the full truth about any company, right? So you know what they tell you, and how much of research you do, and there's not so much of research which you can do. So you say, okay, let me create an ESG index, and can somebody create an ESG index? I don't think it is too difficult. So you create an ESG index and you say, this is the criteria which we use. So it goes beyond ESG, because governance, now I want to include attitude towards the government of India, or rather the government of the world. If you're a US company, the US government, how how do you price your medicines if you're a pharma company? I'm not getting into right, wrong. If you're a hospital, how many patients survive, how many do well, how many. So a lot of criteria other than just market capitalization. Are the employees happy? Is the satisfaction index good? Is the customer feedback good, right? All those things can come and play a role. And I think if we don't do that, and if we just have some I'm sorry to use, but again, a BlackRock index, because of which BlackRock has done it. I'm assuming BlackRock must have done the homework and therefore I am buying it. Then if we all copy the BlackRock model, then we are going to create a bubble, as if the bubble has not yet been created. There are a few fund managers internationally working on this ESG concept, and they are slightly changing the concept, and I hope that such fund managers either come to India, or Indian fund managers looking at ESG know how to create beyond ESG portfolio. Thank you.